and we are still in the topic of First Amendment, it appears that these laws are not applied equally. For example, Muslims having a separate prayer room in a school, whereas Christian students aren't allowed to have a place for a Bible study. Please decide which one will reply.
I think it's true that sometimes the laws are not applied equally. I don't think it's absolutely consistent when the laws are not applied equally. I mean, it's pretty environment specific, if you will. So in one case, one group might be favored, in another case, another group might be favored. I think frequently school officials maybe don't have a clear understanding of what they actually are allowed to promote or tolerate or permit. So there can be a lot of different reasons. We're Americans together, and religious freedom is important for all of us. And I think we need to own it whenever it happens, whether we happen to have exactly the same point of view as the person who's getting persecuted at the moment or not. Because if some of us lose our freedom, all of us lose our freedom.
Let me say the preamble to the Constitution includes the words that the Constitution was being established to, quote, promote the general welfare. I believe God has given the human race two engines to immeasurably promote the general welfare. One, I believe, is the church, but the other that we all experience is family, the home. In the last 40 years plus, we've witnessed an unparalleled unraveling of the family, not only in America, but in the West in general. And I happen to know, not only by research, but by interaction, yes, as an academic, but as a pastor with hundreds and maybe thousands of young people over the last 30 years, how the erosion of the family has caused so much or created so much of a void. I recently had a meeting with the head of philanthropic giving for Bank of America, one of the major corporations in Charlotte, North Carolina, employing 18,000 people. And they want to know, along with other major corporations, how can we restore the family? Because the bank, it's not that they've all of a sudden got religion or caring about sectarian things, but they know that the best promotion of a prosperous, safe, stable society where people do things like get mortgages and invest is when there is a strong foundation called the home. We are witnessing, and I don't say this that we would denigrate any non-believer or take away anybody's right to disbelieve, but we're witnessing the unraveling of our country because of the curtailing of religious expression and religious freedom and the breakdown of the family. And there are several ways to approach family. Sociologist David Goldberg, in his book, How Civilizations Die, we can look at family either by conviction or by pragmatism. And the one way that we can begin to restore our family and restore our nation is to talk about the origin of it all, God, the morality.
And that is time. And on my right, I'll read the question again, and then we will start the 3 minutes. It appears.
I don't need it.
Oh, great.
I got it. Alex and Theresa and my friends out there that are believers, let me ask you all a question out there. What is the first commandment? You can't have any other gods but me. What does the First Amendment say? Oh, yes, you can. I get sick to my stomach. My daughter said to be nice, so let me just, with the concept that morality is equatable to religion, and by religion we mean by default Christianity. There are two types of basic Christians that are out there, and they're both with us today. Great Commission Christians, Mark 16:15, Matthew 28:19. One of the last things Jesus is supposed to have said to his disciples, go and make disciples of all nations. And Great Commandment Christians, and they look at the Sermon on the Mount in the book of Matthew where Jesus says two things: love the Lord your God with all your mind, soul, and heart, and then basically recites the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated, which predated Jesus in the Tanakh, or the 5 books of Moses, the Torah, and predated Jews and Hebrews in the Code of Hammurabi. So the problem we've got is that the Great Commission says go out and get people into the faith, and it battles the Great Constitution. Ultimately, we also have two different tremendous views. I know one of the people watching tonight is my research director, Chris Rada, who directly battles David Barton, and we do not agree with your view of history of the Founding Fathers. With all due respect, it's very, very, very different, and we find it incredibly insulting to presume that you have to have a faith in some sort of a spirit that you can't see or touch or feel nominally in order to be a good person. We reject that out of whole cloth without trying to be insulting. One of our big cases that is never talked about is we had a sergeant at a major U.S. Air Force base who was an evangelical Christian, horribly offended because his commander put a bumper sticker on his car, the commander's, that had the Christian fish symbol with the word Satan inside of it. And it was an attempt to be, he was a very open, very evangelizing atheist as a commander. So the sergeant went to the chaplains who said, I'm going to contact the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. They were stunned, like, oh my God, Weinstein and his foundation eat Christians for breakfast. Well, he gave us a chance. We jumped right in there because that was absolutely wrong. Now, the military is a completely different adversarial, communal, ritualistic, tribal society. It is covered by a separate criminal code. There is a Supreme Court case called Parker versus Levy that makes it very clear, and Theresa touched on it a little bit but did not really do justice to it with regard to the fact that you do not have the same panoply at all of First Amendment rights to include religious expression and freedom rights when you wear the uniform as opposed to us here tonight. But what I'm trying to say is ask yourself which type of Christian you are. If you are a Christian, are you Great Commandment or Great Commission? And there have to be time, place, and limit restrictions on everything. I mean, you can't scream fire in a crowded theater, and sometimes you can't scream Jesus in a crowded theater. So that's all I wanted to say on that. Thank you.